There is one type of person who will quietly destroy your peace, steal your focus, and keep you stuck right where you are. It's not always obvious. It's not always dramatic, but over time, they poison your mind and drain your energy. And that person is the constant complainer. You know who I'm talking about? The person who always has a problem for every solution. The one who turns every conversation into a pity party. The one who never runs out of excuses for why their life is miserable, but somehow runs out of energy when it's time to do something about it. They complain about their job, their family, their health, the world, the weather, the government, everything. And no matter how much advice you give, no matter how many times you try to encourage them, they never change. Here's the thing about constant complainers. They don't actually want solutions. They want attention. They don't want to grow. They want to stay exactly where they are while pulling you down to their level. And if you're not careful, they'll succeed because negativity is contagious. Sit with it long enough and you'll start to sound just like them. You'll catch yourself complaining more, doubting more, quitting more. Let me give it to you straight. If you're serious about building a better life, you cannot afford to keep complainers in your circle. They are not neutral. They are not harmless. They are not just venting. They are shaping your mindset, lowering your standards, and training your brain to see obstacles instead of opportunities. And the more time you spend around them, the more they program you to believe that life is nothing more than one long list of problems. Think about the conversations you've had with them. Do you walk away feeling lighter, inspired, motivated? Or do you walk away drained, frustrated, maybe even angry? That's the effect of a complainer. They leave you carrying the weight of their problems, even though they have no intention of putting that weight down themselves. They dump it on you, then walk away like it's your responsibility. And here's what makes them dangerous. They sound convincing. Their complaints often come wrapped in logic, and if you're not paying attention, you'll start nodding along. You'll start agreeing with their excuses. You'll start believing the world really is that hopeless, that unfair, that impossible to change. But pay attention long enough and you'll realize it's always the same story. They've been telling it for years. Same complaints, same excuses, same refusal to act. The truth is complainers are addicted to their own misery. It's comfortable, it's familiar, it requires no effort. And if you keep them close, they'll try to make you addicted too. Because if you start rising, if you start focusing on solutions, if you start chasing goals, you shine a light on their unwillingness to move, and they can't stand that. So what do? They double down on their complaining. They'll tell you your goals are unrealistic. They'll point out every possible thing that could go wrong. They'll laugh at your optimism, not because you're wrong, but because you remind them of everything they're not willing to do. You have to understand this. The company you keep is shaping your future. You can't spend hours around someone who constantly talks about what's broken and expect to build something extraordinary. You can't surround yourself with people who only focus on problems and expect your mind to focus on solutions. It doesn't work that way. Cutting complainers out of your life doesn't mean you don't care. It doesn't mean you lack compassion. It means you've decided to protect your energy. It means you've recognized that listening to the same recycled negativity over and over is not helping them and it's destroying you. It means you've decided to stop being a garbage can for someone else's excuses. Ask yourself, what could you build if you redirected all the energy you've spent listening to complaints into your own goals? How much progress could you make if you stopped carrying other people's misery and started fueling your own ambition? What kind of peace could you create if you refused to let other people's negativity take up space in your head? The constant complainer doesn't want to change, and that's their choice. But you have a choice too. You can choose to step away. You can choose to say, I'm not available for this conversation anymore. You can choose to surround yourself with people who talk about solutions, possibilities, opportunities, and growth. People who build instead of tear down. People who inspire instead of drain. People who lift instead of pull. Because here's the truth, the more time you spend with people who complain, the more excuses you'll make for your own lack of progress. But the more time you spend with people who focus on solutions, the more unstoppable you become. You cannot control whether someone else chooses to complain, but you can control whether or not you give them front row seats to your life. And if you want to rise, if you want to grow, if you want to create something better for yourself, then you already know what you need to do with the constant complainers around you. One of the most dangerous people you'll ever deal with isn't the one who openly hates you. It's not the critic who tells you to your face that you'll fail. Those people are easy to spot, and honestly, sometimes they even motivate you. No, the most dangerous person is the one who pretends to be in your corner, the one who claps for you in public but secretly hopes you fall behind closed doors. That's the fake supporter. You know who they are. They smile at your wins, but there's something in their eyes that doesn't match the smile. They congratulate you, but their words are lukewarm, like they're forced. They'll say things like, that's great, but don't get your hopes up too high, or anyone could have done that if they tried hard enough. That's not support, that's sabotage disguised as encouragement. Here's what you have to realize. Fake supporters are skilled at blending in. They want to stay close enough to you to benefit from your energy, your growth, your progress, but not close enough to truly cheer for your success. They want proximity to your light without ever contributing to it. They'll tell people they're rooting for you, but the moment you leave the room, they start planting seeds of doubt about you. They'll minimize your effort, downplay your wins, and question your decisions, all while pretending to care. And that's what makes them so dangerous. They wear a mask. If someone openly hates you, you know exactly where they stand. You can prepare for that. But when someone pretends to support you, they sneak under your defenses. You lower your guard. You trust them. You let them in on your dreams, your struggles, your fears, and instead of protecting those things, they use them against you. Pay attention to how people respond when you share good news. Real supporters will light up. They'll celebrate with you, even if their own life isn't going perfectly, because real supporters understand that your success doesn't take anything away from them. But fake supporters, they'll change the subject. They'll point out flaws in what you accomplished. They'll compare you to someone else. They'll make you question whether your win is really a win at all. Fake supporters thrive on keeping you second-guessing yourself, because as long as you're doubting, you're not moving forward with full confidence. And that benefits them. Why? Because your growth exposes their stagnation. Your progress forces them to face the fact that they're not doing the work. Your courage reminds them of their fear. And instead of rising to meet you, they'd rather drag you back down. Let's be clear, these people are not friends. They are not allies. They are not on your team. If you have to wonder whether someone is happy for you, the answer is already no. Genuine support is obvious. It's loud. It's enthusiastic. You don't have to beg for it. You don't have to explain why your accomplishment matters, and you don't have to shrink yourself to make them comfortable. The fake supporter, though, will make you feel guilty for winning. They'll make you feel like you're bragging just because you're excited. They'll act like your progress is a burden to them. And if you let that energy stay close, it will eat away at your confidence piece by piece. Here's the brutal truth. You cannot build a strong, successful life while surrounding yourself with weak, resentful energy. You cannot soar while carrying people who secretly want you to crash. And you absolutely cannot afford to waste your limited time and emotional bandwidth on people who only pretend to clap when you win. Think back to the last time you accomplished something big. Who was genuinely proud of you? Who showed up? Who amplified your success instead of minimizing it? Those are your people. Now think about the ones who got quiet, the ones who gave you backhanded compliments, the ones who suddenly seemed distant when things started going well. Those are the fake supporters. And the more honest you are with yourself about who fits into each category, the faster you'll free yourself from toxic energy. Because here's the reality, the fake supporter isn't going to change. Their jealousy, their insecurity, their bitterness, it's not your job to fix it. If they really wanted to grow with you, they'd do the work. They'd turn their envy into inspiration. But they don't. And that's not your problem to solve. Your only job is to protect your energy, to guard your vision, to keep your circle clean of anyone who doesn't genuinely want to see you win. That doesn't mean you have to fight with fake supporters. It doesn't mean you have to expose them publicly. It just means you stop giving them access. Stop giving them information. Stop giving them seats at your table. Because every time you let a fake supporter stay close, you're giving them the power to influence your mindset, and they will use it. If you want to build something extraordinary, surround yourself with people who celebrate you without conditions. People who push you higher, who challenge you to grow, who cheer when you succeed and encourage you when you stumble. People who don't need to pretend because their support is real. And when it comes to the fake supporters, the ones smiling to your face and doubting you behind your back, you already know what you need to do with them. There's a type of person you need to watch out for because they don't drain you with noise. And they don't even need to complain out loud to mess with your life. They do it with subtlety. They do it with guilt trips, silent treatments, and twisted conversations that leave you questioning yourself. That person is the emotional manipulator. The emotional manipulator doesn't come at you head on. They don't say, I want to control you. They disguise their control as love, as concern, as advice, as help. They'll tell you they only want the best for you, but somehow, every time you listen to them, you feel smaller, weaker, less sure of yourself. That's not love. That's manipulation. Here's how they work. They play with your emotions to get what they want. They don't need logic. They don't need facts. They just need to make you feel guilty, scared, or unworthy. They'll use your kindness against you. They'll twist your compassion into a weapon. They'll convince you that you're selfish for having boundaries, ungrateful for wanting more, or wrong for saying no. And if you're not careful, you'll start believing them. Emotional manipulators thrive on confusion. They'll say something cruel, and when you call them out, they'll laugh it off as a joke. They'll deny things you know happened. They'll rewrite stories to make themselves the victim and you the villain. And slowly, if you allow it, they'll wear you down until you question your own memory, your own judgment, your own worth. That's not an accident. It's their strategy. Pay attention to the patterns. If you're always walking away from conversations feeling guilty, wrong, or like you owe someone something, chances are you're dealing with a manipulator. If someone constantly makes you doubt yourself instead of supporting you, you're not in a relationship, you're in a trap. And here's the brutal truth. Emotional manipulators are not going to change just because you explain yourself better, just because you're more patient, just because you love them harder. They know exactly what they're doing. They want the control, they want the power, they want the upper hand, and the only way they can keep it is by keeping you small. They'll say things like, after everything I've done for you, this is how you treat me. That's not gratitude, that's guilt. They'll say, if you really loved me, you'd do this. That's not love, that's manipulation. They'll act hurt when you finally set a boundary, because the moment you take back control, they lose the grip they had on you. Understand this: people who genuinely love you don't make you feel like you owe them your freedom. They don't make you feel guilty for taking care of yourself. They don't use your emotions as currency to buy your compliance. That's not what love, friendship, or family is supposed to look like. The emotional manipulator is dangerous because they can wear the mask of a partner, a friend, even a family member. You want to believe they care, and that's exactly what they count on. They count on your loyalty. They count on your empathy. They count on the fact that you'll hesitate to walk away because you don't want to hurt them. But meanwhile, they're not hesitating to hurt you. They're doing it every single day in subtle ways that add up. The scariest part, you start adjusting your life around their moods. You stop doing things that make you happy because you don't want to upset them. You shrink your dreams because you know they'll guilt trip you for wanting more. You walk on eggshells, measuring every word, every action just to keep the peace. That's not peace, that's control. And here's the thing, you don't owe anyone your emotional freedom. You don't owe anyone the right to manipulate your feelings, no matter how close they are to you. The cost of keeping an emotional manipulator in your life is your self-respect, your confidence, your joy. And that price is too high. You have to decide that your peace matters more than their approval, that your clarity matters more than their confusion, that your truth matters more than their lies. Because once you see the pattern, you can't unsee it. Once you recognize the manipulation, you can't pretend it's not happening. The only question is, what are you going to do about it? Will it be hard to cut off an emotional manipulator? Absolutely. They will not go quietly. They will ramp up the guilt. They will play the victim harder than ever. They'll do everything they can to pull you back in. But that's proof you're doing the right thing. That resistance is the sign you're breaking free. Because once you step away, once you stop feeding the manipulator with your guilt, your time, your energy, you start reclaiming yourself. You start thinking clearly again. You start realizing just how much of your life was being controlled by their emotional games. And with that clarity comes strength. You don't need to beg for their understanding. You don't need to explain yourself endlessly. You don't need to convince them to stop. You just need to protect your boundaries, protect your peace, and protect your future, because the emotional manipulator is never going to stop manipulating. The only way out is to stop giving them access to you. There is one type of person you must protect yourself from if you want to build a future you're proud of. And that's the dream killer. They might not look dangerous. They might even seem practical, logical, or realistic, but their words carry poison, and if you let them, they will kill your dreams before they ever have the chance to grow. The dream killer shows up when you share something you're excited about. Maybe it's a new business idea. Maybe it's a personal goal. Maybe it's a vision for the kind of life you want. Instead of encouragement, instead of curiosity, instead of support, what do? They shut you down. They tell you it's impossible. They remind you of all the reasons you might fail. They'll laugh. They'll roll their eyes, or they'll give you that look, the one that says, "Who do you think you are?" At first, it doesn't sound like an attack. Sometimes it even sounds like they care. They'll say things like, "I'm just trying to protect you," or "I don't want you to get disappointed." But underneath those words is the real message. You stay small. Don't try. Don't rise above where I'm comfortable seeing you. And here's what you have to understand. Dream killers are not really talking about you. They're talking about themselves. They're talking about their own fears, their own failures, their own limitations. They couldn't imagine chasing something bigger, so they don't want you to either. They couldn't handle the risk, so they don't want you to take it. They couldn't survive the rejection, so they don't want you to even attempt. Your dream threatens them because it shines a light on the fact that they gave up on their own. But if you're not careful, their words will stick. Because let's be honest, dreams are fragile in the beginning. When you first get an idea, when you first feel that spark of possibility, it's exciting, but it's also vulnerable. You don't have proof yet. You don't have results yet. You just have belief. And that's when the dream killer strikes. They know that if they can get you to doubt yourself early, they don't have to worry about you ever following through. This is why you must be ruthless about who you share your dreams with. Not everyone deserves to hear your vision. Not everyone is capable of seeing what you see. Some people don't have the eyes to recognize possibility. They only see obstacles. And if you invite them into your process too early, they'll crush the seed before it has the chance to grow roots. Think about it. How many ideas have you had in your life that you never acted on because someone shut them down? How many times did you lower your goals because someone told you it was unrealistic? How many times did you stop yourself from trying because you heard the echo of someone else's doubts in your head? That's the damage of a dream killer. They don't just kill one dream. They plant doubt that can kill every dream that comes after. The most dangerous thing about dream killers is that sometimes they are the people closest to you. It could be a parent, a partner, a sibling, a best friend, people you love, people you want approval from, and because you love them, their words cut deeper. You want them to be proud of you. You want them to understand. But instead, they dismiss you. And if you let that dismissal sink in, it can paralyze you. Here's the truth. You don't need their approval. You don't need their understanding. You don't need them to see what you see. You only need one thing, your own belief. That's it. Every single person who has ever built something extraordinary has faced dream killers. People said it couldn't be done. People laughed at them. People told them they were wasting their time, but they kept going. They protected their vision until it grew strong enough to stand on its own. You have to do the same when you have a dream. You have two choices. You can let the dream killer's voice be louder than your own, or you can decide that no one else gets to write your story. If you choose the first option, your life will be smaller than it was meant to be. If you choose the second, you'll find out what you're really capable of. And let's be clear, it's not about proving the dream killer wrong. It's about proving yourself right. It's about honoring the vision that was planted in you for a reason. It's about refusing to let someone else's fear dictate your future. Dream killers are everywhere. You can't stop them from speaking, but you can stop them from having power over you. You do that by strengthening your own belief, by surrounding yourself with people who fuel your vision instead of draining it, by taking action so that your results drown out their doubts. Because here's the reality, most of the people who told you it couldn't be done are just watching from the sidelines. They never tried, they never risked, they never built, they never failed. And because of that, they never grew. That's not the path you're here to take. You weren't built to live small just because someone else is afraid of living big. The dream killers will always exist. But whether or not they kill your dream, that's on you. You get to decide if their words become your truth or if your vision becomes louder than their doubt. You get to decide if you shrink or if you rise. You get to decide if their fear becomes your cage or if your courage becomes your wings.